Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Welcome to today's web class. It's going to be fun. I'm excited about this one, you guys. This is one that y'all really wanted me to teach about, and gosh, there is so much that we could talk about with this one. Hello, Jane from Colorado. How are you? We're going to take a few minutes for everyone to kind of get in and jump in here and everything. And I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about how today's going to work. I would love to know in the chat room if you are a first timer, if you're a regular, or if you're a bloomer. A bloomer is someone who has purchased my course, The Business Behind the Blooms. And so I always love to see who's here and everything. So we have bloomer. Hello, hello, guys. A regular here, regular, and future bloomer. I'm excited. I guess I'm a regular at this point. I love it. Bloomer to be, yay! Regular, bloomer, yay! Hopefully future bloomer. I am so excited. Oh my gosh, good guys. So for those of y'all that are here for the first time, I'm kind of going to go over everything and let you know how this all works. My name is Jessica Zimmerman, and I own a floral and event design studio in a small town in Arkansas. And I basically made a ton of mistakes and almost went bankrupt and figured out how to make this thing a success. And now I live the life I kind of always dreamed of living, and it just, I share the story now with you guys. I never sought out to be a floral designer. I never sought out to do this. I just wanted to own my own business. That's all I cared about. And so anyway, so I love that I get to share this with you guys. I now know it's very, very, very clear that to me now that I was meant to go down this path so that I could help other floral designers. So I'm excited to kind of help y'all today. So this is our fourth class today in a series of 4 free floral classes. So this is the final one, but I am going to teach one more on March 12th. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later. But these classes are basically all leading up to the spring launch of The Business Behind the Blooms. So I'm not selling anything today. Don't get off here and think that, we've clickbaited you or something and that, and we're asking you to buy something. Not today, we're not. But these classes are all leading up to the spring launch of The Business Behind the Blooms, which is, I call it a course because I don't know what else to call it. But basically, I think it's more of my business memoir. It's 422 pages, and I just share with you my experience, what I did that I messed up so bad in, and how I changed it, and how I've become successful, and just kind of all of my systems and everything. And one thing that I will say I'm really proud of is as I was going through, we had sent out a survey about a week ago to people who had signed up for this class, and we got over 400 responses within like a 12-hour period. And literally every single question that you guys asked is answered in The Business Behind the Blooms, which I feel really good about, knowing that like it is addressing all of your questions. So there's no way I'm going to be able to answer all of those 400 questions today, but I am excited that there is something out there, because guys, there wasn't when I was starting out. There absolutely wasn't. So I'm glad that I was able to create that and that it's available to you guys. So it is going to be for sale on March 2nd. It's going to open to the wait list. And so you have to be on the wait list to get the wait list price. Kelly is in the chat box, and she'll answer some questions for you, but she'll also do a little pop-up. So if you want to get on that wait list, you can go ahead and get on it. And then if you don't want to see that pop up and you want to see the chat box, you can just X out of it. But it goes for sale March 2nd. And then it's the last time that it's going to be sold at this price. Our next launch is in September, and it will unfortunately go up. But so it's just an economics thing. It's supply and demand, and we want to be able to really serve you guys well. So anyway, so Kelly's in the chat box. She's going to do her best to answer any questions that you may have in there. There's no way that I can look and teach at the same time. But I'm going to teach for a bit. And basically, I'm going to just start answering those questions that you guys asked. And there's no real pattern to this, except I'm just going to start answering the questions. We're going to email you a PDF at the end of this with all the info we're talking about today, along with a replay link that will be available for 48 hours. And after that, it goes into our resource hub on our site at zimmermanevents.com. Like I said, if a link pops up, you can X out of it to see the chat again. If your connection is slow or it kicks you off, just use the link from your email to log back in. Sometimes it just takes a few minutes to catch up. And if also close out of everything else, like if you're open, like if you've got a lot of things open, it will freeze up on you and stuff. So you've got to make sure like this is the only thing that you have open. So anyway, if you missed any of our previous web classes, they are available in the resource hub, and we've got a fun little thing for you at the end. So get excited. Okay, so a small disclaimer, just to start. This class is being taught on February 22nd, 2018. So if you're watching this much later or anything, things change. And some of the things I talk about today may or may not be the case a year from now. And I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I don't know all the legalities of everything. All I know is my experience and what's worked for me. And so with that said, on our website, there's like a terms and agreement thing that says like, if you listen to one of our classes, you understand that this is just me sharing my experience, and I can't guarantee that what works for me will work for you. And you have to really kind of take that responsibility on yourself and figure out if it works for you. Also, the things that work for me as far as accounting, we had a lot of like accounting questions and stuff. And guys, that's not my lane. Like, that's just not my lane. I have a profession. You'll hear me say all the time, stay in your lane. And that's not my lane. I have a bookkeeper and a CPA that I meet with once a month. And they help me kind of stay on track with all that. So anyway, I just say all that to say, all I know how to do is share my experience. I do believe that it is helping people. I know that because I get emails from you guys and they just lift my spirits and they really encourage me. So I may not be able to answer every question, but I will be very honest about that, and I'll be as honest as I can answering the ones that y'all have asked so far. So also, I just want you to know that where I am today in my business, I mean, a lot of the questions that you guys asked were like, about, having these six-figure clients and paying yourself a great salary and all of that. Like, guys, I was not where I am today is not where I was 2 years ago. Okay. So I don't want you to get discouraged. What I want is for this to be hopeful for you guys. When I was working really hard in like October and November on the website, on the new website, on the education side, I was like, I want floral designers to come here and feel hopeful. I don't want them to feel like they're like they need to compare themselves to me. I just want them to feel like, oh my gosh, like if this girl in a small town in Arkansas can do this, then I can too. So just don't get discouraged. Don't compare your 1-year journey to my 7-year journey or to someone else's 20-year journey. Okay. It does take time to achieve what we want to achieve. Okay. I think it's also important to know that owning your own business and actually getting to work with flowers are two different things. So you just need to ask yourself honestly, do I want this to actually be my business, or do I want to do it for fun? And it's totally okay to have things that we do for fun. I am obsessed with traveling, and it's probably my number one passion. But if I had to be responsible for writing a feature, like a feature story or something every time I traveled, I wouldn't enjoy it as much, And I think it's important to know that a lot of what people don't tell us about owning our own business is the actual thing that we are excited about or that we want to do, like in this case, working with flowers. You get to do very little of that. The business side of things takes up the majority of your time. And so I think you really have to ask yourself, like, do I actually want a business, or do I want to just enjoy doing flowers on the side or whatever? It's because owning your own business it's no joke. Like, there's a reason that only 5% of small businesses succeed because it's not easy. So I think first you just have to ask yourself, do we really want a floral business? And I think it's okay to ask yourself, like, why you want this, and to be really, really honest, because the answer to that is then going to become a boundary for you that helps you make all future decisions. Meaning, like for me, I never cared about flowers necessarily. I just wanted to own my own business because I wanted, I wanted to be able to like take my kids to school and pick my kids up from school. And I wanted to be able to go to their dance recitals and their soccer games and not have to ask someone permission. So basically I wanted to go into business so that I could be my own boss. I could have control over it, and I could be in charge of my time. Okay. And so, I think that it's important to ask yourself why you want to go into business. And it's okay. We all have different reasons, but I think by really being honest with yourself with that answer, it helps you in the future. Like, I mean, even this year, I've been like, we've gotten some opportunities that would be amazing, but I'm like, that's going to take me away from my family. And that's not why I went into this then. You know, I did not go into business to work for myself, to work all the time. And so it helps me to make, those decisions and those boundaries. So I think asking yourself that is super important. Also, just knowing that everyone's going to have an opinion. Okay. You can ask, it's kind of like having a baby. Like everyone's got an opinion about how you should do things. And if you should do it this way or that way, at some point you just have to get going. You know what I mean? Like if this is what you want to do, you can't, if we don't know the answer, we ask. That's a big thing that I always say. But ask and then make a decision for yourself. You know what I mean? Like you can't just ask and ask and ask. Like no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to succeed for you. At the end of the day, it comes down to you. And so I think it's just really important to know that, you're the only one who's going to make you successful, and that we could spend all day. It's kind of like I tell my brides, I'm like, okay, look at Pinterest for inspiration. And then when we decide, like you stop. Don't look for any more inspiration, because you're never going to have a wedding. There's always going to be a new idea. There's always going to be another opinion. But let's make a decision and then let's move forward. And so I think you can ask questions all day about how you should get started or what's the first thing to do or blah, blah, blah. And the real honest answer to that is you just have to get going. Okay. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to get started. Okay. So I'm going to start answering some of your questions. Okay. How was that so far? Any good? Do you feel a little motivated so far? Okay, here we go. So what is the first thing I should do? In my opinion, like if I knew what I now know, I would hire a good accountant. I would hire an attorney. And I think if you're going to be a business, you need to be a business. I get really kind of a little pissed off at people who say they're business owners when they're not, meaning that they don't have a sales tax ID or those kinds of things. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to be a business, you need to be a legit business. You need to go and you need to get your LLC or your S Corp. You need to get your sales tax ID so that you can do wholesale or whatever. And I don't know, that's what we do here. I don't know if that, again, is for everyone in all parts of the world, but you need to get your legal stuff straight. You know what I mean? You need to set up on the right foot where you know that you are legit. You know what I mean? Also, those wholesale accounts, those are what are going to be get you those like wholesale prices and all of that stuff. So I think if you're going to be a business, then be a business. Like put your big girl panties on and be a business. Don't just say you're a business, okay? Because there's a real difference. What's the first thing I should start with? Branding, website, practicing flowers. Well, obviously, I think you need to make sure that you enjoy working with flowers before you start a floral business. But if you already know that, I would focus on getting all your systems up. If it were me, I would focus on my website first, because I think that at some point, no matter how you find business, that's where people are going to come to you. They're going to find, no matter how they find you, they're eventually going to go to your website and look. And so I think it's important to look professional. And I think it's important to just like get all your ducks in a row, you know, like what services are you going to offer? What is your minimum going to be? How many are you going to do a year? Are you, you know, like I have, like one of my guidelines is I don't do weddings back to back weekends. And that's just something I learned over time from doing so many back to back and being like, I'm dead. Like I just want to fall over and I mean, I can have like a million masseuses right now giving me massages and I'm still going to feel horrible. Like I just realized life isn't fun when I do back-to-back weddings. And so that was just like a boundary that I set. And so sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes you have to have some data. You have to work for a year and then go, okay, what do I like and what do I not like? And that becomes your boundary. Like I set boundaries every month, new ones. And so I think that, you know, I would focus on those kinds of things. What are your business hours? How are you going to respond? Are you going to respond via email or via phone or, you know, all of those things? Figure out those things, get really confident in what you offer so that when you do have the opportunity to sit in front of someone and they ask you a question, you're not going, well, let me think. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you know the answer. Do y'all offer day of coordinating? No, we don't. Or yes, we do. How much is it? $1,500 or whatever. You know what I mean? Do you do mock-ups? Sure don't. Here's why. You just need to know it so that you look professional. Because I find that most of your referrals are going to come from people. And people enjoy working with professional people who know what they're doing, who are confident, who can take care of them. That has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with anything like that. It's just about knowing what you do, you know, knowing what you offer. Be really confident in what that is. And it's okay to change things. So I offer, I actually help a lot. I mentor a lot of floral designers, and there's a lot of them that will go, well, I've always offered this, so I continue to do it. And I'm like, why? Like, if you're not like doing it anymore, like this is the beauty of being a business owner. You get to decide, like, you're not going to do it anymore. You get to be like, you know what, I actually hate doing that service, and so I'm going to take it off my website. You get to decide that. I think so often we're like, we think just because we started this way, that's how we have to end. And I think that because that's how what everyone else is doing, that's how we feel like what we should be doing. But it's not about what everyone else does. It's about, what do you want? What do you want? I mean, I'm the only person that in our area within I don't know how many mile radius that does by appointment only. I mean, everyone else in this industry around here has a storefront. And I didn't want a storefront. I used to have a rental business and I hated it because it took away from, it took all my time. And I really wanted to have fun and dream up new ideas and everything. And I couldn't do that when people were walking in the door every 5 seconds asking to like use my restroom or asking for directions or whatever, And so just because something starts out one way doesn't mean that you have to continue it. Okay. You get to be the boss and decide that. How do you start when you don't have the resources to invest in practicing with flowers or taking classes? I think if you don't have the resources to do, like a workshop or something, you need to take advantage of free tutorials. So go to the grocery store and buy flowers and go outside and forage some greenery and just start. Go to, there's free tutorials. You can just Google it. You can probably go on YouTube and just start and just know that like no one person's way of doing something is gold. Okay. I've learned one-on-one from, 4 different people, and I've taken little bits and pieces from each of those and created my own way of doing bouquets. You know what I mean? So just get started. You said in a previous webinar that you used to dream of just doing weddings. So what other types of clients work might keep us afloat while we build a solid brand and reputation? What I meant by that is that I used to own a rental business and that we would do flowers for some of the weddings. So that's what I mean when I say I used to dream of just doing weddings. I used to dream of like not having a rental business and just being able to do flowers for weddings. So, did you do a small project before committing to a wedding? So like I said, for 3 years before I became Zimmerman, I had a rental business, and we would do things for corporate parties, high school homecoming and prom, baby showers, chamber events. We did flowers for all of those things. Yeah, like I said, you just have to get started. You're not going to start on top. You're not going to start, by getting these dream big budget clients. You just have to get going, but you're going to get there a lot faster if you get started. So the best way to get capital to start and how to estimate how much it will cost. So I go into great detail about money in Business Behind the Blooms. I'm super, super open with you guys about me and my struggle and how, like I said, I almost went bankrupt and all that. And there's no way for me to explain all this to you today in this class. But I just want y'all to know that it is all in BBB. And I'm sorry, I know that's an annoying answer, but I basically I will tell you, I used to not stay on top of my money, and now I stay on top of my money. I used to I used to not pay myself a salary, and I used to, just have my business debit card. And if I went to Target or to a store to buy a vase or something, I would also buy something for me. And then I'd go home and I'd feel guilty about it because I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just like stole business money or whatever. But then I'd be like, no, you deserve that because you don't even pay yourself anything and blah, blah, blah. And what I realized was that I need to pay myself something so that I actually feel like this is a real business and I'm making money. And it wasn't much. I mean, I only started paying myself something. When was that? 2015, I think, is when I started. Yeah. And in 2015 and 2016, I paid Kelly and Danae more money than I paid myself because I saw I've always been one to kind of see the benefits of the future, like of what deferred gratification. And I knew my business wouldn't grow without them. So I think that, and you need to not be down on yourself. All I paid myself the first year, I think, was $15,000. So don't be down on yourself if like you have a friend who is an accountant and she's making 75 grand a year or something. Like, you can't be mad at yourself. You've got to look at it as like you're building something. What you're doing is building something bigger, and it just takes a little longer. So anyway, like I said, I go into a lot of detail about that. So how to build a portfolio when you're just starting out. Again, I have an entire chapter dedicated to this in the Business Behind the Blooms. But basically, to give you the real nutshell version, I got some flowers, hired a photographer, and I made something, had him take a picture. I took it apart, redid it, made something else. I had him take a picture. And I just continued, to only put work out there that I wanted to do, because at the time I only had work that I didn't want to do. And so I made sure to if I don't have content, I have to create it. Okay. So that's what I did. And people are going to say things like, and I totally understand this because I was there once, but you're going to say things like, well, I don't have the money, or I don't. The truth is, I didn't either. But you do have to, there's excuses and then there's making it work, okay? And there are some of you right now who I know would benefit from the Business Behind the Blooms, who want the Business Behind the Blooms, but you're letting that sticker shock keep you from it. And the truth is that's what separates the people that are successful and the people that aren't successful. If you really want something, you have to figure it out. Like, my husband and I, we really wanted to backpack Europe. And I think we were married for like 2 or 3 years. We literally ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for about 8 weeks in order to afford to our plane tickets and our rental car when we were over there. You know what I mean? Like, you do what you want to do. You figure it out if you want it bad enough. And so I think I think that's what really separates successful people from unsuccessful people is we either make excuses or we figure out a way. And so I don't even know where I was going with all that, but sorry. Oh, I know about like you're like, oh, I can't afford to get a photographer or all that. Well, at first, if all you can do is snap a picture with your phone on a white background, then you do that. Like I said, just get started. Just get started. And don't look at what everyone else is doing, because then you'll just compare and you'll think that yours is horrible, and it really isn't. You just, like I said, you got to get started. Let's see. I would love to know what big purchases are required. Well, I think it depends on where you live. Like for me in the South, a cooler is a must. I mean, it's very hot here. It is February and I'm in a t-shirt. So cooler is a must. A computer, obviously. Adobe Suites was a big purchase for us, but we use it every day. We use it for proposals and all that, a backup hard drive, a website, those kinds of things. Is it doable to start as a one-person operation, or do you think you need a team from the start? How many do you think is necessary in order to get started? So this is a really great question. I think it's doable to start, sure. I think though also, like, you have to understand you can maybe maintain a business. You're never going to grow a business, which is you ever. There's just not enough hours in the day, and there's too much stuff to do. A business, even the simplest of businesses, have lots of facets. Okay, so you've got the email side, the admin side, and like I said, you can maintain it. It's hard to grow, and for me, it's hard to grow and maintain a lifestyle that I want to have. The lifestyle that I want to have is I want to be able to support my family, and I also want to be able to work 6 hours a day, and I don't want to have to do weddings every weekend. Well, in order to do that, I need these clients to be really well taken care of. I'm not able to, write every thank you note by hand that I want done. I'm not able to, upload every single receipt and deposit, into Dropbox, and take care of my client the way I want to take care of them, and answer all the inquiries and create new media kits or whatever it is, And so for me, I knew that it was only when I allowed myself to be supported, when I allowed myself to really just look at what I was good at and then delegate the things that I wasn't as good at, that my business really started to succeed, and it really started to attract those clients and everything. Because like I said, I want when a client emails us, for them to be able to get a response that day. And I can't do that and be a mom and do the work for my clients that I need to do. Like, I don't have my email on most of the day. But I hired someone who does, who can answer those questions. Does that make sense? So like I said, I totally understand that people in the beginning may not want to make that investment, but I really see it as, if I give you $10 and I can get 100 back, I'm going to do that. And to me, that's what a team is. Hiring a team is, if you pay them correctly. And there's a whole chapter about that too in the business behind the balloons. Okay. I love that you have high-end clients, but I feel like that's down the road for me because I'm just starting my official business. What are your thoughts about this? I didn't start out with high-end clients. Girl, I have some stories to tell. I mean, I've done $300 orders. I've done, really small orders. I've done ridiculous things that people wanted, like I had a client one time who wanted like their whole thing to be Mickey Mouse ears, meaning they wanted like hidden Mickey Mouse ears in all of their centerpieces, like legit. And, we did it. Like you do what you had to do at the beginning. You know what I mean? It wasn't until 2016 that I really started getting those clients. So, just know that it just takes a little bit, and you need to be prepared for it. Like I think I talked about this in a previous web class. You've got to be prepared. Like the wedding that we did in 2016, that kind of, I would not have been able to do that wedding in 2015. If I had done that wedding in 2015, we would have failed. We would have failed, and then we would have gotten horrible referrals, and we probably would have been out of business. But because we worked hard for 5 years and we had failed a lot and learned from those experiences, we were prepared. And when the opportunity came, we were prepared and we were ready, and that's why we succeeded at it. So there's that. Let's see. How do you know if your market can support another floral business? I would love to quit my job, but I'm not sure when to jump in. Honestly, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It just matters how badly you want it. You're the only one that can get in your own way, to be honest. I mean, I can't tell you how many flower people are in this town, and I live in a small town. I mean, I could throw a rock. There's one right there. There's another one right there. You just have to, what do you want? What do you want? And if that's what you want, then you have to do it, and you got to do it your way. You can't pay attention to what everyone else is doing. You just have to do it. Let's see. What's more important? What should I invest in first? Business know-how or design know-how? Honestly, I think business, because the business, if it freaks you out, then you can do flowers, as a hobby. This actually happened with one of my bloomers, and she was so incredibly grateful that she spent $8.97 and learned that floral isn't what she wants to do. Like she read it, she was wanting to be to own her own floral business, and then she read it and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I see like all of these things that I would have to do." And like I was ready, like before the business Behind the Blooms, to just like jump in and like start this business. But I'm so glad I read this, because now I know what all this entails to be successful. And like, I just want to do flowers and have fun. And so like now she just does it, on the side for fun, like as a hobby. And she hasn't dedicated her whole life business to it, And so I do think that it is important to know that first. That's just my opinion again. Let's see. So how do I conduct a client meeting? Again, in the business Behind the Blooms, I have an entire chapter dedicated to this. And I think that the sales chapter in the business Behind the Blooms is worth the price of the whole course. You can't touch a flower until you make the sale, right? And so I go into great detail about that. And I'm going to touch a little bit on this in the March 12th free web class that I'm teaching. So I want y'all to be sure you sign up for that one. And I'll go more in depth about it. Should I be prepared with a loan to fall back on financially if I'm the sole breadwinner in the family? I mean, I can't really tell you what to do, but I can't really answer that for you. But all I can say is for me, I made a whole lot of mistakes. But the one thing that I did from the very beginning that was, I mean, I can't tell you how many mistakes I made. But one thing that I was smart enough to know about from the very beginning is I never put up any of my personal stuff. So like I never, in order to get a business loan, I didn't, like do a second mortgage on my home or anything like that. None of my personal stuff was ever up for grabs. I figured out a way business-wise to where it was totally separate, where if the whole thing were to go up in flames, that all of our personal stuff was protected and was fine. And you have to get creative, like I had to have some self-financing involved and stuff like that from people. But, you do what you have to do. So again, I can't really answer that for you, but I would just make sure, if you are having to get a loan or a line of credit or something, that you're not putting up any of your personal stuff. What one thing did you wait to do that you wish you had done sooner? Delegate tasks correctly and focus on what I enjoy. For example, like bookkeeping and admin work and cleaning and like all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I used to do all of it. It used to be, just me doing all of those things. And when I finally was like, okay, I'm going to have a bookkeeper to do all of these receipts because I can't, do it. And I'm going to have someone who handles emails, and I'm going to have someone who handles client relations or whatever. That is when I really got to focus on what I do best, which is sales, which is profit, which is make money, which is, design, how I wanted our proposals to look and how I wanted, the client to be treated. I'm good at leading a team. When I was able to start delegating, that's when our business really took off. And so that's something I obviously wish I would have done even sooner. Let's see. Also, another thing that I want to touch on really quickly is how floral design is a seasonal business. Like if you're doing wedding floral design, there's high seasons and there's low seasons. And so that's another thing that people don't tell you up front is like, you're not going to have steady cash flow every single month. So it's important to know that if you have 4 really busy months of the year that are like high wedding seasons, you need to really make sure that you've got enough for the other 8 months of the year. You know what I mean? To handle your overhead and all of that stuff. So, let me answer. There's lots of studio questions. So let me answer those studio questions. I don't think that you have to have a studio to be successful. Okay. Again, that's really where I got in a lot of trouble. Okay. I'll be real honest, is that I thought I had to have the studio, and I thought that I had to, that was the only way I was going to look professional and all of these things. And we bought the building and the mortgage was very expensive, and I wasn't making enough to cover everything. And so the other day I was mentoring someone and she was like, I think I'm going to get this studio. And I was like, no, you can't afford the studio. Don't do that yet. Again, just get started. It's okay to work out of your home and to say things like, I have a home studio. That's perfectly fine. Like no one cares. Okay. And you can always work up to having a studio, but I'd rather you get the money and then have it than to get in the hole that I got in. Okay. Let's see. There's a lot of questions about advertising. And again, there's a whole chapter about that in BBB. And I also did a web class on that recently. But basically just to give you the most concise, is that the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. Version I can, Cliff's Notes version I can, is that I was doing it all wrong, and I was advertising where everyone told me to advertise, in this magazine and that magazine, and get on this blog and get a badge and do this bridal show and that bridal show. And what I realized is none of my clients were coming from any of those people, and my clients were coming from referrals. And that is when I stopped doing all of that advertising, and I started paying attention to the people that were referring me. And I started treating them really well. I would take them out to eat, or I would send them a little gift in the mail and all of that. I basically went from spending about $20,000 to $25,000 a year on advertising to about $250, and started booking more of my ideal client than ever before. So that was a huge revelation. There's a lot of questions in here about attracting your ideal client. How do you stop attracting clients that only want baby's breath? And how do you market to stand out in a crowd and all of this stuff? I think that, you have to only put out there what you want to be working with. So people sometimes think that they need to show every single wedding they did. There's a lot of weddings that I did in 2013 and 2014 and 2015 that will never see the light of the internet because that's not the kind of work I want to do. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm going to take this job because I need the money. I need the check, but I'm not going to promote it and put it out there and all of that stuff. So I think that you have to really be careful about where your money's going. You have to treat the people that are in front of you really, really well. Okay. We spend a lot of time wishing for something greater. Oh, I wish that I had a client who had a budget that it was 2 times as much as this person sitting in front of me. Well, that's not getting you anywhere. There's a person sitting in front of you right now who wants to book you. Treat them really, really well. Give them a card. Be kind to them. Do a great job for them. And then they will refer you. And they probably have a friend that'll spend a little bit more money than they did. And I do think that being kind and really treating the people that are in front of us well, it does begin to bring other people versus just sitting there and wishing for better. Does that make sense? So treat the people that are in front of you really well. And then, like I said, you have to start having goals of like who these people are, like who is your ideal client, and start thinking about what they would, if your ideal client is someone who has this garden type aesthetic and you don't have anything that is a garden aesthetic on your site, well, then you're going to have to make that, you're going to have to figure that out. That's what I did. And it was like, okay, I'm going to take everything off of my site that doesn't reflect what I want and what I want to attract. And I'm going to figure out a way to do a little styled shoot. And I'm going to do a day rate for this photographer. So I had him for the whole day. And we basically got about a year's worth of content in a day because we were really smart and strategic with it. And again, I talk about that. There's a whole chapter in that. So, so there's a lot of legal questions, and I'm not an attorney, so I can't answer all of them, but I can give you my best bet. Or I can just tell you what I do. So what types of things should be included in my floral contract agreement to protect me legally, There's lots of questions about contracts. I can tell you that I show you every single one of my contracts in BBB, but even though I show them to you, like that's what works for me. And that's what I know that in the state of Arkansas is will hold up in court. I share with you, it's actually one of my favorite chapters in BBB because I say something like, while the rest of this book has seemed like we're at a coffee shop and enjoying like a cup of coffee and sharing stories, this is going to feel like we're in the corner of a bar and I'm sharing a very personal story with you. But it is about contracts and how I've learned the hard way what's important in contracts. And I think it's important to, write up something and then take it to an attorney. Like that is an investment you should make 100%. Don't wait until it's too late to do it. You need to think smart like a business person and be really smart about that. Again, I share with you all of those things in BBB, but I make sure to have things like they understand what the job is that we're doing at the wedding, and here's also what we're not responsible for. Like if I'm going to do what it says on this proposal that I'm going to do, and if Aunt Susie comes and asks me to like decorate this table over here, like I'm not doing that. That's not part of our agreement. It says in there, like if we aren't the coordinators who are staying and doing all of this stuff, well, then we're going to leave before the reception starts. So we are not going to be in charge of lighting candles. You need to have someone responsible to light, all these little things. And those are things that you learn along the way too. Like one time I had somebody, this was a few years ago, but she was upset that we didn't stay and light candles. And I was like, no, but we talked about that in the meeting that we leave before, and everything. And she was like, no, we didn't. And I'm like, yes, we did. Like, I know we did because I've got that checklist and everything. And so the next day I went and I had that added to my contract, So contracts are updated all the time. Okay, let's see what else. But you also have to make sure it will hold up in court because just to have, I made the mistake of having just some contracts written, and none of them would hold up in court. We had to completely like scratch them, shred them, and write all new contracts because they need to hold up. What's the point in having them if they're not going to hold up? If they're not going to protect you? Okay, so there's a lot of productivity questions. If y'all have not gotten my free download on my website, there's a free download on there about how I am productive in a 6-hour workday or something. You need to get that. There's so many great tips in there. But just like this question says, I seem to be spending so much of my time emailing people back and forth, trying to get them to book me. How do I try to minimize this and all of that? These are all things that I talk about, but it's, again, like I hired someone to handle emails so that I could focus on growing my business. But, and that's the thing, I feel like email, it makes us reactive instead of proactive. We are spending our day just answering people's questions versus figuring out a way to make more money and become more profitable. There's things like if there's something that you're answering all the time, then you put it in like a media kit or something. And people ask what a media kit is. We show ours in BBB, but it's basically just a PDF. We have really beautiful pictures on it that explains, like, so when people say, hey, what services do you offer? We have a 2018 services media kit that instead of, Kelly having to list, here's what all we do, she can just send them that media kit and it answers all the questions for them. We have, like, even in the signature of our email, we have our business hours, when they can expect to hear back from us, all of those things. So just kind of setting up things and making sure everyone's expectations are met and that everyone's clear on everything is really important. But I think just creating some systems, again, if you're answering the same thing, like now, one of the things we do before a meeting, and we show you all this in BBB, but I got really tired of explaining our process, like the meeting process. We do 3 meetings. And again, I'll tell you more about that at the March 12th webinar, but I got really tired of explaining that over and over again. So we finally just like created something on our site. It was a hidden link that went before the first meeting. We would send them that link and we'd say, hey, we want you to read this. And this is going to answer all the questions about how the meeting process goes and blah, blah, blah. And oh my gosh, like what a time saver that was. So just little things like that are super helpful. Also, if you watch the webinar that we did just recently on websites, that answers a lot of those questions. I mean, your website should really work for you. It should really answer so many questions. So, so that people don't ask all the time. Okay, you guys, there's so many money and pricing questions, and you pretty much are just going to have to read BBB because we're at 50 minutes out of a 60-minute webinar, and BBB has all those answers, okay? Like I share with you how I budget, how, what my pricing guide is, what I spend, what I save, what goes to overhead, how I pay my team, all of those things are in there, and there's just no way that I can get through all of that. So, and that really is because it's numbers. In my opinion, it's easier to like see and read. There's a lot of client related questions. Just about like, how do you communicate with them, and what if she wants specific flowers and all of this. So I just kind of learned the hard way. Again, I try to really ask myself, like after every meeting, what went well and what didn't go well. And anytime there was something that didn't go well, I would think to myself, how can I fix that? And how can I change that? One of the things I really hated was I would do a proposal and I would show them the prices, and then they would start to negotiate with me and go like, oh goodness, well, we don't want to pay that much for a bouquet. So can we, instead of you doing it for 200, will you do it for 95? And I, of course, would want the business. So I'd say yes. And then I would end up basically doing the $200 bouquet and for the $95 price. Therefore, I didn't make any money, and most of the time I lost money. And it just wasn't helping anything. And so I realized if they can't see those prices, like if they can't see that itemization, they're not gonna negotiate with me. And the first time that I did a sale where I did not show itemization, it was the best quote I ever did. Like it was the best sale at that point that I ever did, because they just saw like totals. We do like, here's your bridal party total. Here's your ceremony floral total. Here's your reception floral total. And then we did it that way, and they were like, it looks good. Here we go. And so again, I know you're going to have a lot of questions about that. It is all laid out specifically in BBB, but I did want to touch on that that was one of the things. Another thing was how we kind of screen them at the beginning to know if they're a client we want to work with or not. Like I said at the beginning, you kind of take what you can, but then you take what you can, but you have to make sure you don't put out there something that you're not wanting to do more of and all of that. So, okay, flower questions. There's, again, a whole nother chapter. Oh, this is a great question. When practicing, what can I do with the finished products other than throwing them away? I used to do this all the time at the beginning. I would get some flowers. I would make something. I would take a picture, even if it was just with my iPhone, and then I'd take it apart, and then I'd make something else. Then I'd take a picture, then I'd take it apart and make something else. I used to reserve like, one of the things I talk about in the productivity free download is scheduling my day and blocking off my day. And I would just schedule, because what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. Let's know this. Does not get scheduled, does not get done. So I would put, from 12 to 3, I'm just going to practice with flowers. And so I would do that. And I would literally nail a white tablecloth on the wall and put a table there and have this bouquet, and I'd take a picture of it. Like now we have Insta stories and stuff. So I would totally Insta story that thing. And then I would take it apart, and then I'd make something else. And then I'd take it and I'd photograph it or something, just to have some content, and just to play around and be like, oh, I wonder what it would look like if I did 90% greenery in this bouquet. Oh, what would it look like if I didn't do any greenery in this bouquet? And just play, just play and have fun and crank up some music. And that's how you start to get your style and what you want to do, what you enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Just practice. Okay. So team questions. So kind of like I said at the beginning, it's really important to know that you can't do everything yourself, and that you can maintain your business, but you're never going to really grow it until you find people to support you and you give them roles and you trust them with their roles. There's a whole chapter. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, and I don't mean to keep saying this, but I just want y'all to know there are answers, I promise, in BBB about building a team. One of the things it asks is when is it time to hire an assistant or an employee? I think I would as soon as you can. The sooner that you can take something off your plate. If that employee becomes someone who you're babysitting, that's the opposite of what you're wanting. Okay, so you do need to make sure that there's a clear role of what you want them to do. I have someone who comes in here 3 days a week. Her role is to upload, take pictures of any receipts and upload them. Her role is to unbox any boxes or packages that have come in. She writes the checks that I tell her to write. I sign them all. Don't ever let anyone else sign your checks, ever, ever, ever. Even Oprah doesn't let anyone sign. She signs every single one of her checks. But I do have her write them. I'm here's the accounting bill. Here's how much it is. Can you write the check? And then she hands me the invoice and the check, and I double check to make sure it's correct, and then I sign it. And then she puts it in the envelope and puts the stamp on it and takes it to the post office. She runs the errands. She makes sure the fridge is filled with, water and Coke and that kind of stuff for our clients. And so Like those are all things that have to be done, but I can't get what I need to get done in my 6-hour day if I have to spend, 6 hours a week doing that stuff. And that's what she works. She works about 6 hours a week. She is a senior in high school. She comes in from about 4 to 6. And most of the time I'm not here because I leave at 3. But I leave a little note of what she needs to do. And we have an email account that's just for her, so that I can literally email her what I need her to do that day if I'm not there. So the sooner that you can have someone to help but she's very clear on what her role is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like, here's my whole business and I need help with all of it. No, I'm going to do these things. Kelly does these things. Danae does these things. No one's roles overlap, which helps build a really successful business because everyone really owns their role and everyone's really takes charge of that and does a good job at that. You know what I'm saying? And no one is going, well, I'm going to do this better than that person. Like, cause I don't have any time for drama. Like, leave that at the door. Like, I'm not dealing with it. I don't need to hear about your boyfriend or your girlfriend or the drama with your family. Like, this is a professional business. You're going to come in, you're going to do your job, you're going to leave. So, okay. I got a little preachy there all of a sudden talking about all that. An assistant designer. We do have a web class about that too, about how I hired my second designer. Again, this came at a time, I think we started doing this in 2015. So this came at a time where one of you asked the question, and I appreciate the question. She said, he or she asked, how in the world did you grow a successful business for 2 years while you had 3 babies and a sick husband? Because my husband was really, really ill. He was in and out of the hospital for 2 years. And during that time, I had newborn twin sons and I had a 2-year-old daughter. And so I appreciated the question. And part of the answer is, I don't remember. It's all a blur. But the real answer is that I had Kelly and Danae to help me. I was able to, my work was kind of an escape. I mean, my kids went to preschool. And so during the 6 hours that they were at preschool, like I dove into my part. But if I had to do the emails and write the thank yous and upload the receipts and all that, I wouldn't have been able to grow it. It's crazy to me that during those 2 years, which were 2 of the hardest years of my whole life, I wouldn't wish them on anyone, were also 2 of the most growing and successful years of my life. And I think there was part of me too that my husband was so sick. And in 2015 was the first year I ever took home a salary. And like I said, I think it was $15,000 or something dollars. But I mean, my husband had supported us through his salary since we were married. And we've been married for 12 years. So at that time, it was 9 years that he supported us. And I'd never brought home anything. And so I think also during that time, there was kind of a reality check of like, he might not make it. You may have to take care of this family. Or he may be okay, but he may not be able to ever work again. Or there was just a lot of like, you need to start really preparing yourself for taking over this financial role that you have no clue what that is. And so, I was just really serious about growing it. And that's why I say I was really serious about being like, I'm okay paying Danae and Kelly more than I pay myself at this point because this isn't going to grow without them. And I really, during that time, delegated heavily to them, and it wouldn't have grown without them. I mean, they know that. I wouldn't be here without them and their help. Okay. So a couple more questions that I really want to hit on. I want to talk to you about confidence. This was a question that I got that when I read it, it made me sad. I almost start crying. It says, you, Erin at Floret, and the ladies at Team Flower have all built your business on your personalities and your image. How do those of us with challenges find success without those advantages? Flowers are already pretty, but I am not. Is this business only about looks and image? First of all, I want to say that I think that my business was built on me, like me as a person. I actually went to Erin's workshop when she was uh, still doing workshops, and she shared a story about, and I think that she would be okay with me sharing it with you today, but how she at the beginning started. She just wanted to be like the cool floral designer that like wore all black and was hip and had the coffee and like all this stuff. And when she was doing that, she wasn't successful. And it wasn't until she woke up and was like, okay, I just have to be me. I'm going to put on my boots that I wear every day and my apron, and I'm going to, just I like being in the farm and doing that side of it and all of that. And when she started really being true to who she was is when success came for her. I think that, you have probably seen me, obviously on webinars and obviously on the education part of my site. And there's a whole lot of pictures of me on that site. But for my wedding page, there aren't many, there's a couple, but it's more about my work for the wedding side. But for the education side, I am the product, me teaching. And so I am the face of that part of the brand. But I think that we all have something that is truly special and that is unique, and that people want us for us. And so if you have a pretty product and you are good at what you do and you're honest with people and you're kind, that's all that matters. Okay. And it's what's the most important thing about being successful in this business is having confidence. That's it. There's always going to be people who are going to have something bad to say. You really have to be able to let that go. If you're going to be successful, you just need to be prepared right now that people are going to talk smack. And that's okay. You have to not focus on what anyone else is doing on social media or anything. You have to set goals. You have to work hard every single day. You can't make excuses. You have to know that failing is good because that means you're learning. You can't get in a hurry. You just have to work hard. You just have to put your head down. You have to work hard. And if you have certain goals and they're not working out, you have to ask yourself, why is it not working out? What can I do to get closer to that goal? You have to stay on top of it, Somebody asked, how do I get people to take me seriously? You have to take yourself seriously. No one's going to take you seriously unless you're confident in what you're doing. The reason why I am able to attract the people that I attract, the reason why I'm able to do the size weddings that I'm able to do is because I sit here and I am no BS. I am, here's the honest truth. Here's the facts. And I had a meeting yesterday and I said, I'm going to tell you something and you're not going to like it. Like I said this to a client and I said, but I'm going to tell you this because I would want to know. Like if this were my daughter getting married, I would want to know. And this is the truth and da-da-da-da-da. It was just like something that it was like something that they wanted to get. And I was like, it's not going to be here in time kind of thing. And so I said, you can wish and hope for that all day, but the chances of that actually making it in time aren't great. So you need to know that either you're going to lose your deposit on it or you need to have a plan B or something. And like, those aren't easy things to say necessarily to your clients that are writing you checks. But what I've found is that they really respect and respond well to that candor, to that honesty. And I think when you're really honest, like if you read on the wedding portion of our website, I basically say in like the what we do part, I'm like, listen, we're really good at what we do. We already know the best vendors to work with and da-da-da-da-da-da. Like I'm just confident in it. And I think that confidence comes with time and with practice and all of that stuff. But I also think that if you'll sit down and really establish what it is that you want to offer, and you know that, and you decide what your minimum is or whatever, then you can be confident in things, okay? But confidence really is everything. That and it's a mindset, okay? So if you have a growth mindset that I can achieve anything that I want to achieve, I can learn anything that I want to learn, then you're going to be successful. If you have a fixed mindset where you are like, this is the hand I was dealt, I'm never ever going to be good at this, so I'm not even going to try or something, well, then you're not. So it really is about a mindset. You just got to get out of your way. You got to quit making excuses. You got to keep your head down. You just have to start. Okay. Okay, you guys. Let's see what else. Oh, this is a good question. I talk about this in BBB. When calling on new clients, how do I make my business stand out from everyone else's? My response to that is by not using the same programs everyone else is using. If someone gets a quote from 4 different floral designers and 3 of those floral designers are all using the same program, to send them the quote, and yours is your own, and you've got, you've made it a little custom for the client, you're just going to stand out and you'll probably get the job. Someone asked, what are some books that you read? I'm currently reading The One Thing that one of my business consultants just sent me the other day. The Strength Finders book is huge. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Crushing It. If y'all don't follow Gary Vee on Instagram, I suggest you go follow him, because he is just motivational about just, again, like your mindset and not caring what everyone else thinks and getting out of your own way and all of that kind of stuff. The Pumpkin Plan, Profit First, those are all great books. I kind of love this question because it's almost like this person doesn't believe me. It says, if you really only do weddings, is it even really necessary to work 6 hours a day, 5 days a week? Or do you work that much because you're producing all these amazing webinars and BBB? Well, the truth is, right now, I don't know if any of y'all saw my Instagram live the other day where I started crying. I didn't mean to, but it just kind of happened. Because I just know, I don't know how, any other way but to be is real. But I was saying, like, we're exhausted. We're exhausted. Right now, we're basically running 2 businesses, and it's a lot. And our clients deserve all this attention, and they deserve our best. And our students deserve our attention and our best. And right now, we're not able to do both well. And so we made the decision that we're going to do all of our spring and summer weddings. We don't work in July. So in June, when we finish our June wedding, we're not taking on any other clients in 2018, that we will put our head down and we're going to focus on the education side so that we can streamline it and we can get that, going how it needs to go. Because right now, I mean, poor Kelly, she's up sometimes till 10 o'clock at night answering emails, because she's answering emails from education students and also our clients. And it's just not productive. And so we are going to be streamlining all those processes or all those systems starting in June. But to answer your question, if I was just doing one of those, I still would totally be working. I mean, I did just weddings 2014, 2015, 2016. And yeah, I worked 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. Every now and then I'd take a day off and like sit at home and watch The Real Housewives, but not very often. Not very often. I really like working. I enjoy it. So there's that. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. What podcast do you listen to? Great question. School of Greatness, Gold Digger, TED Talks, Entrepreneurs on Fire. I love all those. And then it says, what class or workshop do you recommend taking first? Honestly, like, I'm not just saying this because it's my thing. I wrote my thing because there wasn't anything else. I couldn't find anything like it. the business behind the blooms, it doesn't matter how good you are with flowers, or maybe you aren't good yet, but you think you need to dive into learning how to create, centerpieces. And the truth is you'll never get paid to work with flowers until you learn how to make the sale, and you'll never ever be profitable until you know the business side. And so, or sustainable or grow it, until you know the business side. So I think that it's important to know that. I think that it's an important investment. I mean, there are other courses. I've taken other courses. My frustration with other courses is that I didn't have access to like when I would read and I'd have a question, I could never get a hold of that person. And so what I like about ours is that you have access to us. We have a forum that's opening for bloomers very, very soon that I'm excited about. We do webinars that are exclusive to bloomers. You can do mentoring with me. I have several bloomers from the fall that we do mentoring, every month or every other month. So you have access to us and my team, which I think makes it really different. But I mean, other than that, I think you just have to go out there and see. There are lots of other good, products out there. So I think you just have to go out there and what is it that you need, and Google it and search it and see what it is that, if you find things that work for you. So, okay. So final thoughts. So I'm teaching a web class on March 12th at 12:30 Central Standard Time. And it is all about my sales process. Okay. And on March 12th, we will be opening up the course for the early bird rate. So if you're on the wait list, you get it at $8.97. This is the last time it'll be sold at that. If you miss your opportunity to get it at the waitlist price, then we will be opening it during this webinar on March 12th to the early bird rate, okay? But we're going to be talking about the sales process and all that, so it'll be a good one. BBB will never be sold at this price again. In the fall, we do have to raise it, so this will be the last time to get it at this price. Let me just show you really quickly. I'd like to screen share with you for just a second and show you the BBB video. It's like 60 seconds, so just hang tight. Can see this. Kelly, can you text me and be like, yeah, we can see it, just to make sure. So if you go right here, I'll show you. If you go to ZimmermanEvents.com, this is what you see. And if you go to education, then you can go up here and you can go to Business Behind the Blooms. And that is where you can read all about the course, and you can get on the wait list, and you can see my cute little family right there. And, oh wait, you can't see it. Okay, hang on. Wait a minute. It's not there. Let's see. Kelly, can y'all see it now? Hopefully. If you can't, then we'll just forget this thing. Guys, we have like a tech issue every class, I swear. Oh, goodness. Okay, Kelly, let me know if you can see it or not. Yay, it's here. Okay, great. So when you go to ZimmermanEvents.com, you click on education, and then you go to Business Behind the Blooms. And this is where you can learn all about BBB, and you can get on the wait list. And like I said, there's my cute little family. And down here, there's some testimonies, lots of testimonies. I was gonna play this little video for you real quick. Just 3 short years ago, my life looked completely different. I worked 16-hour days, and because I didn't think I could pay myself a salary, I used my business debit card like it was play money. As if it didn't really count. 3 years ago, I never would have dreamed that my life would look the way it looks today. I work about 30 hours a week. I have a client sales average between $10,000 and $15,000, and I support my family of 5. through the salary that I pay myself through my business. I know what you're thinking. I must live in some big city where I can charge crazy high prices and there are wealthy people all around me. Not quite. I'm Jessica Zimmerman. I own a floral design studio in a small town in the middle of Arkansas. I've written a course. It's called The Business Behind the Blooms. It's my success story in the wedding floral industry. It's my business model. In the course, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm sharing with you exactly what it is I do. After just 1 year of applying the principles that I lay out for you in this course, I began to see a huge change, and even better, real profit. In those 3 years, I went from $0 profit to $70,000. My business model, it works. And in this course, I share with you every single step. This is your opportunity to make real money doing what you love. This is your moment to invest in you and your business. Now is the time for you to know the business behind the blooms. Are you ready? Boom. Okay, so you can go there and there's all of that kind of information. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys that I'm super excited about is if you go here to the Resource Hub, because I know that this is a deal we have just for y'all today, okay? Just for y'all. If you are listening to this web class, then this is for you guys. Because I know that you may not have the funds. I get it. I was there at the beginning, and I know that, you know, you may not have the funds to get this right away, but you still want some other classes or whatever. If you go to all products and then you click on getting started, okay? Getting started. All of these are what we suggest for getting started. And we are going to let you get any of those for 50% off, okay? So let me give you that code just a second. So that code is Get Started 50. So if there's anything that you guys want in there, I want to give you a break and let you have it for 50% off, okay? But the only way that you can get it, like you can't just go, I want the advertising webinar and then click it. It's that code is only going to work if you go to the getting started topic thing at the top. But you can have 50% off of any of those web classes. And so anyway, guys, I hope that this has been enjoyable and inspirational and that you've learned something. I think that you can't get enough education, to be honest. Like, I'm still learning. I am still, you know, when I don't know the answers, I ask. I've got, you know, mentors and consultants and people that I work with and experts because I want to just learn and grow and do better. And I want to be able to share with you guys as much of that as I can. And I want to try to give you as much of it as I can for free. So if you're on the newsletter list, you know, we do like a freebie every month and stuff, which is really great. Also, if you go to that website on the education where I was just at the Resource Hub, at the bottom, there's 4 free downloads, okay, that have 4 really good filled chock full, is that how this saying? Chock full? I can't, anyway. Full of information, full of really good free information. So there's that. Okay, let me really quickly see if there was anything in here that Kelly wanted me to answer. I don't see anything. Okay, guys, I think we're good. Guys, y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me March 12th when we do the other web class about sales process, and get on the wait list for BBB because it's never going to be this price again. Thanks, Margot. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Kamisha. Thanks, Courtney. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Angela. Y'all are the best. Thanks for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.